my screen. But if I go back to this example picture, the iPhone example part of this paper prototype, you can see 3 screens there. The Apple Watch part of this has about 3 screens as well. Each screen is something that will connect by buttons or different interactions that people can do. And so planning out your prototype by screens is very useful. Yeah, Vanessa, I'm not sure who's saying no, but I've got a couple of guesses. Is it Meng Ling or Halsey? Someone just took a screenshot or a photo.
Oh God, this is intense.
Ah, cool. Ah, that's what the screen looks like. Okay.
Wow, it kind of stuck there.
Wow, isn't Zoom awesome?
It's the best.
I think Meng Ling, I'm not quite sure what could fix that. I think I've heard of someone having it that Zoom put the shared screen behind everything else. It minimized it, so they had to click on the the window in their taskbar to get it back up again. Marcel, nice.
Wow, this is like Matrix sort of thing. We're like seeing ourselves in another YouTube channel.
This is awesome though. I can see the delay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, see, Sebastian, the nice thing is we really don't have to care. You could be stark naked right now and no one would know. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, good point. Yeah, maybe they don't care. So in about a minute, we'll start asking for some examples, but I just want to do the coolest thing possible.
Wow.
Will it work? Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, what? Oh God.
Yeah.
It's really happening.
I think, Marcel, you've given me a fun toy to play around with, and that's dangerous. Just let me know if it's making you feel seasick.
Why is it called crowd coding? Isn't it like HCI? Aren't we doing HCI right now?
It's because it says if you've absolutely nothing better to do than watch me work on an iOS app. Yeah, nice.
Nice.
Cool.
I think time is up. We should.
Yeah, time is up. Too much fun looking at that. All right. So it seems that Zoom is definitely having problems. So I think there's a couple of options here. If you've got decent internet, you can actually share your screen if you've got a picture of it on your screen or something to show it that way. You could also show your video if you wanted to hold it up to a screen, or if you wanted to take a picture and put it on Slack, I can open it up in Slack and then we can do it that way. But what we'd like to see is an example of a rough paper prototype that the rough screens that someone has at this stage. Understanding that a couple of people haven't quite reached the stage of making a prototype.
I think we have a hand up.
Do we? Yeah, Sajjad. How would you like to share it?
Yeah, I want to share my screen, but I don't think I can do that. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
it says that you cannot start screen share while the other participant is
okay.
sharing. Yeah.
All right, now you should be able to.
All right.
There we go.
Okay.
Cool.
Can you see that?
Yeah, nice.
All right. So I wasn't able to make the third screen. So basically, my app would be like a driveway rental service where you can rent out your driveway.
Oh, cool.
So the middle one is where you basically filter out the driveways that you want, basically. So based on location, price, and here this guy has filtered. That's Lucia, and the one on the right is the rating system. Yep.
Okay, cool. As a nice example, that thing how the stars kind of go up in that line. I can do something here that's quite interesting that you may not have known about. I can actually draw on your screen.
Really?
So that thing there with how the stars go up like that, that's an example of something that even though it's made in software where there's straight lines, stuff like that will get more honest opinions from people.
Yeah. I couldn't start that out, so yeah.
But yeah, that's nice.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything with this interface that was difficult for you to think about how you would do it?
The filtering system, I had to think about it. I mean, this is the first time I've thought about the prototype because I'm still in the interview phase. So yeah, I'll still have to do a bit more research, but yeah.
I mean, so I guess with that filter part, it's very hard for me to draw straight lines on this graphics tablet, but I'm gonna try and draw this next to you there. If you've got this part that's like the star and it says, location, St. Lucia. So with this kind of thing, do you think that this whole thing would basically be like a button that someone might click on?
No. What I was going for is that they can filter out, like if they click the filter button, they can then set the location and the price again, and then it would come back to this screen.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll have to make that more clear in the next version.
Yeah, I guess the main thing is this is a good opportunity. Like if anyone has any sort of feedback or suggestions for especially something like hang on, Vanessa said, can I bring ideas? Do you mean like ideas for this prototype being shown right now?
Yes. I was just thinking.
And I think you can actually annotate it, by the way.
Oh, but it was mainly so I just thought of like when you can see the map of where the driveways are, maybe you should consider doing something where there's like a more accurate picture of the driveway, because often people, if you have a big car or something, you want to know if it can fit there, or if you have like not just like a standard sized car. So maybe it'd be interesting if you did something like where you could see pictures of the driveway, like real pictures and not just the map.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, no, that's a really good idea. Maybe a separate screen. If you click on like one of these pop-ups, it shows pictures.
For example,
like
for me,
street views.
Yeah, exactly. If you have like a huge car and you I don't know, you go surfing, so you need room for like all your boards on top, or you have a trailer at the back. You want to know if there's room enough for your car to fit there. So maybe it'd be nice if you can like see pictures of the driveway. And if you're having trouble driving, like you're not that good at parking and stuff, it'll be nice to see if it's a difficult parkway. Because I myself would choose like different park spots compared to like how they would look.
And that's an interesting idea. And like you could also link it to like if the little pop-up had sort of a size like S or like XL or something. That's something.
Oh yeah.
You could even just encode that in an icon. So if it's a large car, you could just have the icon be an L. So you could even just make that simpler.
And that's something that's nice because it's using I guess it's kind of it's not quite an interface metaphor, but it's definitely using someone's lived experience because everyone knows what SML, XL means.
In fact, you could even go more personalized because once you know what a user's preference is, you could even not just show all the stuff that wouldn't be suitable.
Yeah, that's true. Like there could be a screen that is like somewhere in between here, or something where it's like a preferences or something like surfboards. I don't know how big surfboards really get, but you could have like a checkbox of surfboards, or I've got one of those sun awnings like all the tradies do. And so that would also need some more space. But yeah.
Right. No,
cool.
Thanks for the input, guys.
Especially at stuff like that with the filter is this is a really big tip that your prototypes, especially when we move towards evaluation, you want to try and make sure that your paper prototypes are focusing on having interaction in the most interactive parts. So for example, this is all really good stuff where they're filtering out what kind of car parks they want to find. That is perfect for evaluation because it's in that interaction that you'll find from people how useful or valuable they feel that is based on their experience using that interface. I'm guessing that a couple of people have already sketched out like a login or sign up page.
Okay.
If your solution has a sign-in page as one of its major, like most important features, it's probably the sign that your system doesn't really have that many features. And I've seen prototypes in the past where people put a lot of effort into prototyping the login screen, even though it was just a really standard login screen. I got to tell you, it's super boring, and it actually makes it harder to do useful evaluations to keep things going. So if you have a login screen in your app, absolutely do prototype it, but make sure that you're prototyping the rest of it too. That's just a word of advice.
All right. I have a question about the assessment, the mind map assessment. So for the prototype, do we have to do every screen? Like, for example, the login and the registration, of course, those won't be that important. So, but do we have to put that in as well?
You want to show it. Like what you want to do for the mind map. Like here, we've only got 3 screens, and it's giving a bit of focus. But for the mind map, even if you've got a basic sketch of, say, the login screen, what you're trying to do with that is show us how your prototype is representing your entire conceptual design. So you want to try and make sure you've gone through your system requirement statements and kind of ticked every one of those features is inside that prototype somewhere. It might be very rough, but that's because it's the first version of it. So the answer is yes.
All right. I should stop sharing.
Sure. I know that Marcel, you had your hand up. Does that mean you want to have a go at sharing?
Yeah. I'm not sure how this is going to work because I just realized that my drawing's actually very small.
We can see how it works.
Yes. So let me see if that works. Is that?
That's your camera. Oh, Yeah.
So I kind of first started off with like a little storyboard thing. So
Something that, by the way, sorry to cut in, but if you wanted a nice way so that you didn't have to hold it in front of the camera the whole time, you should have a button that says pause sharing. And I think you can click that if you want to like capture it so you don't have to hover your book over the camera. Oh no, but you're using the webcam. Sorry, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
so that's probably not going to work. Yeah, so just as a bit of background, I want to stop people wasting stuff in their pantry. So the idea is to make that management easier, and I wanted to have a minimal interface. So essentially, it should be like a chatbot, almost like a bot that helps you organize. So I guess the user interface is very simple because it's going to be on a.
You can show us that storyboard if you want to.
Oh,
Looked
okay.
interesting.
So the
Maybe take a
interface-
photo and put it on the channel.
Yeah, it's just going to be
Might
hard
be
because I
easy.
don't have a camera with me at the minute.
This is probably easiest. You
Yeah.
know.
So it kind of starts off with the user being at home, and the chatbot will remind them now and again to take a photo or ask them a question about their pantry. So it's not going to be where you have to do an inventory of your entire pantry at once, but it'll ask you now and again throughout the week what you have. So you gradually build up the inventory, and then I think that's kind of the reminder. It's kind of hard for me because I can't see while I'm holding the thing up. So
That's the
final,
one that says, "Do I have spam?"
yeah. So the phone asks you, "Do we have spam in the pantry?" And then you'd go to the pantry and you'd scan that in, and then when you're in the supermarket, oops, where are we? So when you're in the supermarket, you can say, "What's in my pantry?" And then it can tell you, so you know that not to buy that third jar of olives you have sitting at home.
Nice.
So from a user interface, the first thing the app asks you is what motivates you. Like, because I want to change behavior. So some people might be motivated by being accountable to other people. Some people want like a thing they can collect. So there's different types of rewards to change your behavior. So you pick which works best for you. And then the app will go off to ask you to inventory just 2 items. And then the main thing is capturing as easily as possible 2 items from your pantry to then eventually build up a list that you can view. So that's kind of
Oh, all right.
essentially it.
Oh, okay. And so a lot of the interaction with that is happening with the chatbot sort of communicating with the person to remind them and stuff like that.
Yeah, so from my research, it's actually going to be maybe a little bit difficult to do a user interface because most people have indicated that they actually don't want an interface, like they don't want an app. So I'm trying to figure out how to do a design without necessarily needing to download an app. So that's going to be the challenge.
So there's an interesting challenge there, and I'm curious if anyone has any suggestions for it of how you might paper prototype something that has a lot of, I guess, like verbal communication.
So it's almost like building sort of a Siri type of things at this stage because people don't want actually physically interacting with it.
Yeah.
Like a sort of assistant type of, I guess. Yeah.
But yeah,
Maybe sort of web clients would be nice because you don't necessarily need to download the thing, the app, I guess. Just go onto the link, maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking another way you could prototype that. I know that for the sake of the course, it's probably easiest to give it some kind of like app or even if you invented some new device that, I don't know, maybe it like looks like a UFO and it just, flies around behind them. It should still have some like little screen on it or something, and then that would be the interface or something. You can get pretty creative with how you want to do it.
Okay, that's cool.
But I mean, if you've got some kind of like screen, let's say that that's so wonky. It's really hard to draw on this. If you've got that screen on the UFO there, and that's such a terrible line. Ignore that wonky line. say you've got the screen on the UFO up here, and you've got something asking, like, what's your motivation? Then you've got your different options of, 1, 2, 3. Let's say if they click this one, even though, it's all a paper prototype and yours might be some kind of chat bot, to make it quick and dirty, you can still have like a piece of paper, but it might be like a quotation that is saying something like blah, 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 blah. And then it moves on to the next screen or something like that. And that's one way that you could sort of prototype the kind of conversation that might go on.
Okay.
Or you could, this here could be you, and you could converse with them like you think the bot would. And then you'd have, whatever the output is in the next screen. So, yeah, Tamagotchi-like gadget. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good idea. I like that.
How did Tamagotchi? It's like an egg, right?
Yeah. This is going
I've
back
already
a bit,
done
eh?
it.
Yeah, it's like egg-shaped clicky thing.
So if I'm remembering right, it's got 3 buttons, maybe 4.
It's 3. I usually have 3 buttons, I think.
Okay, I'm glad that we've got some Tamagotchi experts. And so even like this screen here could be the part that you paper prototype, and that you could pretend to be the voice, or that you show the written version of whatever's being said, so that you could change it kind of easily and see what people's reactions are to that. But your interface can absolutely be that sort of Tamagotchi type screen. And then something interesting with that is the fact that it would be very, very small.
Yeah.
And you should make your paper prototype really small. Yeah, true. That's a good point, Sebastian. Like ABC responses for questions asked. Oh, that's what it's kind of like. How do I stop? There's the 20 questions. This screen has my drawings all over it, but there's I want that toy. There it was. Like this one here. Let me clear off all my drawings. So has everyone seen this toy before?
Nope.
No.
No?
Nope.
Is this a new thing? Oh my God. You guys, after the world stopped ending, you've got to go to like a Kmart or a Target and start playing with these things. It's incredible. It's basically like it's just a little tiny, it's like a little tiny handheld toy that's like this kind of size here. And it can almost exactly guess what you are thinking about every time. You could be thinking about like penguins or something really specific, like the Australian Prime Minister, and it will ask you 20 questions maximum, and you have to answer yes or no, or sometimes, or unknown in this case. And somehow it knows what you're thinking about. Anyway, it basically asks you the questions on this tiny little screen, and you've only got these 4 buttons to actually respond with.
I'm really liking this, because I'm already now thinking of, what if I make my design like a fridge magnet?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, and I lie. I see that there's kind of two more buttons on the side, and I don't know what they do. But yeah, like a fridge magnet kind of thing, absolutely. Like, and your paper prototype would just represent what the screen looks like.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks. That's very useful.
No worries. And the Akinator, that's the Akinator is very similar. Yeah, a keychain, true. So yeah, like that's an example of where the form of your solution can be almost anything as long as it's got an interface so that you can test something on it. Cool. Did you need any more help with anything about that, Marcel, or does that give you a whole bunch to think about?
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah, it's good. Thanks.
Cool. Anyone else want to share any sort of prototype they've got, or how you might do the interface? This is a very good time to ask. I wonder, does the Akinator still exist? I'm thinking a lot of people have seen this one. Oh no, I have to disable my ad blocker. Let me go and block this pop-up. Oh, it's not making it easy to do that. Does anyone else have any suggestions or questions about paper prototypes? There's a whole bunch of silence and no hands up, which means that we could open it up to just wider questions about the assessment. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I think so. But like, I believe it's a good chance to like ask questions at this point. Like, really, because I mean, because we're both here. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see why you want to deliberately posting questions later when everyone's like gone and stuff.
Do you
So,
want to?
like-
Should we do a funny thing and try and ask the Akinator if it can guess paper prototype?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Does that sound good? Everyone thinks that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you a
All
thumb
right.
up for that.
I see at least one yes. So let's. All right. It's an
Yeah,
object.
you get a thumb up for that.
No. Probably. No. Paper prototypes do not. Is it electric? It's a paper prototype, so no.
No.
It's thinking hard. I think we've already killed Akinator.
I don't know what's happening, but the loading thing is still like.
Yeah. I have a feeling that because of the shutdowns around the world. Oh, can we
Can we
buy
buy
it?
it?
What do we think?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah, I'd say probably not. Can it be
Found
found
in a
in a store? No.
No.
I think that one's definitely. Does it weigh more than 20 pounds? If that's about, I think, like about 10 kilograms, I don't think so.
No.
Is it natural?
Ooh. Well, that's deep. Maybe.
Can it be touched?
Don't know.
Guys, what do you think? Can a paper prototype be touched? Yes. Is it made of metal? No.
No, it's paper.
Do most people have it? I don't think so.
Ooh.
It should be touched.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Does it really exist? Yes.
Don't know. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Is it bigger than
Is
a
it
foot?
big? Not really.
Ah,
Unless you're making sort of bigger interface, maybe.
I think in total, I mean-
iPad sort of thing.
for everyone's paper prototypes, it should be, you know, a number of different screens that if it's about phone size, overall it'll be bigger than a foot. So let's say
Well,
probably.
probably could.
Is it made of paper? Oh,
Yes. I think it's
Can it?
getting it.
yeah, I think so too. Can it be red? I mean, yes.
Yes.
Does it have a relation with school?
Yes.
I'd say like,
No. Like I think the context of school is like, is it related to sort of school subject? or
but
something?
it's also something that's used a lot in industry. So let's say don't know, I think.
Don't know. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of a. Does it have a link with the past? No. Design
I
cycles
mean-
always move in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Is it used for shows?
No, not used for shows.
It's used for
Is it?
Zoom.
Is it for school? Like,
Probably not.
I'm
Probably.
gonna say probably not. Can it be open or closed? What do we think? Can a paper prototype be opened or closed? Yeah. Yes. No.
Let's just go with don't know, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like maybe
I
don't
mean,
know.
that's the thing. You can like open parts of a paper prototype, like it's a menu or something. So yeah. Does it have figures? I guess if they mean
Numbers, well, I don't know. Like yes, maybe, probably.
let's say probably. Because some of the apps will have numbers or solutions will have numbers. Do we use it at school? Yeah, probably.
Probably.
Is it part of your house? No, I don't think so.
I mean, it could be.
Do we
really
usually want to get rid of it? Hopefully not.
No, probably not. I guess.
Did it
No.
exist? Probably not.
Probably not.
Can it be opened? Let's say probably.
Probably.
I think we've confused the Akinator.
Does it move?
Yes, I think so.
Like, I wonder how many questions are there. Oh, okay. Okay. Whoa, wow. That was unexpected.
Guys, I think we won.
How do you get... But I thought you asked, is it made of paper? But, like, how is that made of paper? Like,
Yeah,
I'm confused.
I gotta admit, we did answer yes, it's made of paper. Yes.
I always say probably.
Sebastian, I'm very
Okay.
glad that your paper prototype looks like a fully functioning car. Yeah, we said no to metal. Obviously, the Nissan 350Z is made of paper. So
It's pretty cool.
that's a fairly big safety concern. If any of you drive a Nissan 350Z, you've got a paper car.
I guess it's good for the environment, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Sajjad, I don't think you're expected to make a Nissan 350Z in 2 weeks. I mean, what if we go Nissan 350Z Papercraft? I mean,
Ooh.
well, there you go.
There you go. That's your car.
There's a paper prototype of a car. I believe the Akinator was right.
Gonna give like a clap reaction for that.
Yeah. Can we give? Yeah, there we go. A clap. A clap for the Akinator. I think the Akinator does feed on memes. I honestly think it's like one of the earliest sort of like, what would you call that? Like machine learning type things that runs on that kind of stuff. I guess now we found the Akinator was in the end correct. This is a good time to ask about anything about the mind map assessment or any questions you've got about it in general. If there really are no questions, we can try and ask the Akinator more questions, but, you know, for Vanessa, I know you said you just had to, you know, get through the analysis and everything. I don't know what I can suggest for more help other than maybe like drink a bunch of coffee and, I don't know, stay inside the house. I don't know.
I mean, that's pretty much the only thing you can do, I guess.
I think the thing has been like when we have design thinking, we have like the similar assignment right on top of this one. So I can't really continue with this one before I'm done with the other one because it's due before. So
Yeah, true.
so I'm glad like the deadlines are not on the same day anymore. That's really helpful. But before that, same day, which would
Yeah,
make
true.
it useful.
Are there a lot of people doing Deco 1100 at the same time? Sorry, design thinking at the same time?
Yeah, it's like- well, I am.
There's a couple of people. Yeah,
Yeah,
about
five.
at least 5. Yeah,
Find it.
does it? This is a thing I'm curious about. is it obvious that in both courses you're doing the same design process?
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, I'd even say that the other deco course I'm doing is also very similar. I think it's actually really hard at the beginning of the deco courses for me personally to come up with an idea.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, to be honest.
Yeah.
I actually have a question about like in the beginning I chose the topic of like behavioral change.
Yeah.
And after doing my research within this area, I might want to change it into like health. Can I do that, or do I have to stick to the original
So
topic?
it's, to be honest, the domains are only really there to give you enough focus. It's basically something to give you a bit more focus at the start to make sure that no one goes wildly off into something that's way too difficult or different. So the health one is mostly about like communicating between patients and doctors and like the handling of medical data.
Yeah.
Most people there are a lot of people that started to go between health and well-being and behavioral change. In the end, like, that's totally fine. There's no reason why you can't do that. It's all about your specific topic, really. What do people want to do?
So also a question in regards to the mind map. My current mind map kind of details how I went from a broad domain and ended up in my app. So there's only certain parts of there's only certain nodes on the map which have got, like some nodes, hang on, how can I phrase this properly? Give me a second. Yeah, so certain parts of my mind map are just keywords, and then there's certain areas I explored more to then get to my final problem, and I've detailed those. Is that kind of the correct approach? Or should we just show the main areas of the that led us to the problem space?
So you're talking about the sort of domain and topic problem space in specifically inside the mind map?
Yeah, so just looking at my mind map briefly, I kind of got food as being my main problem domain, and then I went into research, and then I thought, okay, well, there's problems with wastage, and wastage can be environmental or economic, and then you've got, problems at the farm area, and then I kept drilling down until I eventually derived at my problem space. Is that the right approach for the mind map?
Yeah, as long as along that path you can show that is something where people's concerns and people's desires and wants and needs come into. Yeah, so I mean, if you're showing that in that research process somewhere, like you've found a lot of people's genuine wants and needs, or if you're looking at behavioral change ones, you might find that there's not a lot of people that want to change their behavior, but you'll find a lot that says that people should change their behavior.
Yes,
that's totally fine.
That's fine. Okay, because because eventually the space I'm looking at, there's actually not people who actually there's no need, but people really should.
And so that's something where like your research into people in that case will be looking at how I'm guessing you've already found it, looking at how people do waste food already. Yes. And you've probably found a bunch of examples and references that say that people shouldn't do that.
Yes, well, that's what led me to the idea for the app, for lack of a better word.
Did you take the idea and interview a few people about that whole topic and their feelings about it and everything?
So my interview was just based about, broadly speaking, my interview was based around. My interview was just a conversation because I felt a conversation would be the most open way of getting information rather than putting people into a certain space. And I just had a conversation about generally how people manage their food in a typical week.
Sure.
And then that kind of identified that, well, the pantry seems to be an issue with most people, or actually 100% of people, interestingly enough.
So I mean that there then describes the very important human user connected side to it. So you've got your research that says something should change. You've got your information from people about what their concerns are about that topic, and so your solution is just coming from applying one to the other, and that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Sebastian. Nobody knew they loved being outside till they were forced to self-quarantine. Yeah. So hang on a second.
You know what? Actually, like, I think what you are confusing about at this point really is that it's like okay, let's put it this way. So really about the first assessment, it's about you actually gather what the users need and try to research into the domains you have to choose, and you try to come up with some sort of solution to satisfy users' need that hasn't been addressed.
Kevin,
So
do you
it's
want me
all
to go
about the
back to
user.
that nice slide?
Yeah,
slide
because
with-
I think some of them are still actually doing here is that we're actually trying to identify some issues in some domains, and we're trying to help people out, like by actually coming out with a solution. So it doesn't have to be an app. It doesn't have to be based on existing app, and most likely the reason because the people have like additional needs is that the existing apps somehow does not satisfy all their needs. That's why it's like it's best not to use an existing solution, but just try to draw inspiration out from it.
Yeah, like you're
As you
looking
see-
at existing things for what works and what doesn't work. And like if we put some numbers on this slide, like you've got step 1, step 2, step 3. This one here, like when you're looking at background research, so this one is your domain and topic, and you're learning some more about that and becoming a bit of an expert on that. This one here, review of existing systems. This one is where it's all about the people. So you're not looking at, it's not about like, ooh, what do the apps do? No. You're looking at people using apps. So this is where, when people are using these apps or solutions or whatever, what is their experience with using those? And, when you're doing these interviews, the interviews that, and we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, the interviews can help you find a domain or topic, but most people would have used the interviews to find out more about the people that use these and the people inside this domain and topic. Like you're finding out more about these people and what they're trying to do. If I go and just draw a big box, I think this should work. If I go and just draw a big box over that and take it way back to kind of the start of everything here. Damn it, I got rid of my big box. Okay. Everyone can see my screen, right? Or maybe not everyone, but most people, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this main part that we're talking about, where a lot of people are becoming very confused, is kind of this area here and connecting it to the conceptual design. So this part here. If you just look at existing apps and you're trying to just improve an app, it means that you're missing everything. Like everything here just becomes a big question mark, pretty much. Like if you're just looking at apps and trying to improve an app, you're missing everything there. What you need to be looking at is what are the people trying to do. So if I look at Yeonjin's original comment, if she chooses a transacting domain, should I invent my own app like a chatting app or use an existing app like Facebook? Then should I interview about the app and research about that app? So if your topic, so let me get a fresh this is a common thing that a lot of people have sort of hit. So I'll help with this one. Let's say that your topic is like chatting online. So the existing things is, Facebook, and, WeChat, and I don't know, even Zoom or whatever.
No.
These are all the existing things, but you are not focusing on the apps that exist. You're focusing on what people are trying to do. So if the topic is chatting, your main reason for looking at that is that people are trying to communicate, right? So that here, if I put like a nice big, shiny thing around this that people are trying to communicate, that's what you're focusing on with that. You're not really concerned about like what exactly is Facebook trying to do, or what it is, the limitations of WeChat. You're looking at what people are trying to do. So when you look at these existing apps, you're looking at like Facebook is, plus, it has these good things, but it has all these minus things. You're learning
Alex,
from these. Yeah.
Sorry, I think Vanessa has a question.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
we should let her answer.
So, for example, I've been looking into the topic of getting people active while, for example, attending Zoom lectures or lectures in general, how to improve their focus and attention.
Yeah.
And so one of my thoughts were that I was going to make like an extension or an extra feature or do like extra work on the already existing, like for example Zoom, but that's not allowed. Or
no, you can do that. So
okay. Because I've been asking, like you say, I've been asking into like the whole working at home experience and asking people about the study experience in general when just being at a lecture or a studio or stuff like that. And then I found that it might be more useful to use the already like incorporated tools, like for example Zoom, and like improve that with like an extension or extra.
I think though, what you can try and do for the purposes of the course, it gets a little bit difficult now that it's an individual assignment, but for that kind of situation where you've got something that very much sits nicely on top of what is already there, what I would suggest is to present your system as something completely different from Zoom, but take the parts from Zoom that you want to build on top of, include them, and explain that that is based on what you see already and that you'll build on top of it.
But then I would assume that people would change into my new system.
But that's the point, right? Like
but you are trying to solve the problem, that the fact that people are unsatisfied with Zoom and they require additional features. So it doesn't matter if they go to your system as long as you try to solve their problem.
Okay, yeah,
so,
but Zoom,
you're just here to you're just here to help the users.
Yeah, called it Zoom or some. Can I give an example? So this is a negative example that I saw last year, for an example here. So if you've got a music player and this person's solution was some kind of music player. Now, what they did was they looked at Spotify and they looked at like iTunes. And what they did was, Spotify might have, feature 1, 2, and iTunes might have feature, 1, 2, 3, 4. So in their solution, they basically said, I'm going to put in feature 2, 3, and 4 because, because Spotify and Spotify and iTunes use it. And the issue with this kind of idea, if you're building on top of an existing app and you say, I'm including this feature because that existing app has this feature, that doesn't show us any of your design skill of trying to understand people. But what they missed, like this is what happened in kind of real life. This is what happened in kind of this real life situation, and it was bad. But if I go and change to a nice friendly yellow here, this is what should have happened. If he put in feature 2, 3, and 4, because people trying to listen to music, want feature 2, and then maybe you could say that Spotify. This could fit with your one, Vanessa, as an example. Let's say Spotify increases, let's say, engagement with feature, let's say feature 2. So there's another reason why feature 2 should be there. Let's say that iTunes users love feature 4 because, let's say, like, what's something because it I don't know, reaches their goals or something.
But you said compatible. It's because it's compatible then with Spotify and iTunes.
Yeah, like that.
That's a different way of explaining it.
Yeah, and you want to make sure that you're always explaining it from the side of the people that are trying to use it.
Yeah,
so
sure.
For Yeonjin's example, so looking at Facebook and chatting apps and things like that, you can absolutely interview people about Facebook and research how they use Facebook, but the features that you might use as inspiration from Facebook are things that work really well from people trying to reach their goals. And that's why when you understand what people's goals are, you'll start to see what features Facebook doesn't have or what features WeChat doesn't have. In Vanessa's case with Zoom is clearly missing features to help people be more engaged. So there's maybe some things about the interface that work okay, or maybe there's some way that Zoom works that is easy to understand at a very simple level that Vanessa might use as inspiration for her own system. But then all these extra things are coming from missing parts, and it's based on what she understands about people.
So for example, in that scenario, I could say, okay, I made this new system. It's called Talk, Lecture, whatever. And it's inspired from doing research on people where I found they wanted these features. I see these features already available in Zoom, but I will do it differently this way because I researched this. Yeah,
pretty much like that. What you've just said there is that the features that make up your conceptual design are based on your research, understanding people and what they're trying to do, and that's exactly what we want you to do.
Okay, and it's okay that it's something that I'm not sure will work. Like, it can be created, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, you'll find in design courses, especially deco courses, the tutors can't tell you if something will work or not because no one knows, not even the lecturer knows until you actually put these things in front of people. That's just what design is like. Yeonjin, is that all good, Vanessa?
I'm all calm again. No worries.
Is that all good, Vanessa? All right, cool. So Yeonjin, I need to research to collect data from interview and research how this domain. Yeah, so you want to look into that domain and topic. And if you're looking at people chatting between each other online, you want to look into that domain and interview from people about how you want to find out what they're trying to do exactly and how they want to chat between their friends or whatever they're trying to do. You know, what are their goals for chatting on the internet? And you can find out if they're satisfied or not, and why they're satisfied and why they are not satisfied, and what systems they use. And you could look at even looking at the history of chatting on the internet and look for things that worked or didn't work. And you learn from all these things so that when you reach, where is it? When you reach this sort of stage, let me get the big red one here. So your research here, that's where you're finding all of that background information out about, you know, what people's goals are, and understanding those people and understanding if they're satisfied or not satisfied and why. That's where all that lives. Does that help, Youngjin?
Well, I guess, like, just in simpler terms, what you really should be doing is that find a problem space, then look into issues that, like, I guess majority of people are facing. Then you can sort of try to learn more about the people who's been saying this sort of, you know, claiming they have these issues, and you try to come up with a potential solution to help them. I guess maybe in simpler terms, Alex, that's what we're trying to do, at least in the first instance. So find people who have a problem, learn about them, you know, interview them using different tools to get to know them more, and then try to help, I guess.
There's a really,
any sort of.
Well, yeah, there's a really interesting way that someone described this course last year, and it was basically applied empathy. So, like, you're in this course, basically you're doing applied empathy, and the empathy here is, you know, understanding people. So that's why right at the start, you're doing all this research into people and what they want and what's working and what's not working. And then the applied part is where you're starting to come up with your solutions and, you know, do your evaluations and everything. And as Marcel was saying, the hardest part is probably the solutions. But, you know, no one gets it right the first time. So, you know, Vanessa was asking, is it something that we expect it to work? We have no idea what will work. You know, neither do you. Neither does Chelsea.
I think that's why we have the cycles, right? The iterative sort of process to help you keep on slowly, hopefully approaching that, you know, I guess the better solution in the end of the day. So, you know.
And that's, I don't know if anyone's worried about it this time, but sometimes people do worry about it, that, you know, in this process, because we go around it 3 times. Yeah, exactly. Don't worry about the end result, worry about the process. Exactly. Like for the mind map, if I add this here, like for the mind map, you're doing these ones, and it's quite well understood that, you know, what you get from this may not actually work from what you want to do. For the main report, so like the next cycle of it, you're starting here, learning more about people, you know, from analyzing it here, and then you're making changes to your conceptual design here, and then you're making a medium fidelity prototype. And so this is where you'll probably make it in Adobe XD or something like that. And then you're evaluating it again with the same people. And this is where you're learning more about the UI this time and if it's making more sense to them. You analyze that and figure out what changes you have to make. And then you make those changes to your conceptual design again. And then you'll make a high fidelity prototype. And that one, you could use code here if you wanted to. I know that probably Marcel will just finish an entire app in a week. But the high fidelity prototype comes in at that stage. And depending on how crazy the semester gets, you might evaluate it one more time before we finish, but that depends. I'm not quite sure because of all the changes.
But I think, Alex, just to add a quick point about prototyping and everything, it's not required to code anything. I mean, it's if you think it's better to have a actually coded, prototype to help people interact with your sort of solution, by all means, if you have time to do it, just do it. But it's not required. It's all about how can you actually better present your physical sort of solution to other people to have a better understanding of it.
And I mean, don't be too sad if you do enjoy coding, especially because it's an individual assessment now. I'll show you something that's quite interesting. There's a framework for React Native that I saw at least 2 groups almost finish their app last year using Adobe XD so Mingxi, the problem is that if you make your prototype in Adobe XD, it looks too good for people to give you nice, honest, critical feedback. The straight lines and the way that XD makes everything look really smooth and nice, people are going to give you feedback on your UI, but they're not going to give you feedback on if your concept is valuable and useful for what you want it to do. And at this stage, you may not have done many prototypes, so you might not be super good at making UIs. I don't know, but you're going to get more feedback about that, which may not help you do what you need to do for the evaluation in the next step.
I mean, it's all about having the functionalities at least right in the first, I guess, iterative process in the paper prototype. It should be emphasize on the functionality instead of the UI and how it looks or whatever. It's all about what sort of potential solution you're presenting to the users. So paper prototype would be a good way to get it done. So people actually give you honest feedback.
This example I'm trying to show is not as cool as it used to be. So anyway, Expo is this framework for React Native where you can test stuff really quick. Sebastian's pretty much right that if it's a bit ugly, it's the process that's important here, because the beautiful prototypes come later after you've found out if your idea is actually useful. Yeah. So yeah, Marcel or anyone that enjoys code, I don't know how many, I don't want to say code monkeys, but that's the classic thing, like how many code people there are. But you absolutely can use code. I want to try and find. But yeah, Marcel, code god, sorry, yeah. Marcel, I'm guessing that if you used to make iOS apps, it means that you probably don't need a React Native framework anyway.
Just go with native frameworks.
Yeah. Cool. What I should do actually, because it's almost the end of the session. So next week in our Twitch stream, we'll probably be focusing on interaction paradigms and interaction modes, which should be the last little bit of your system concept statement that we haven't explained yet. And yeah, there should, I know that Vanessa was kind of concerned about it, and Marcel as well, like the whole engagement of people that are in the Zoom session we do hope that we can get a bit more like engagement across the entire group next week, because I think we might not have a choice but to use breakout groups, but we'll see what we can do. Yeah. And yeah, you're totally right, Sebastian. It's why I'm hungry again as well. And I do wish that we could use Discord. If you want to make a Discord, we can't make it course official, but if you argue enough that all the courses should be using Discord, you know, I'd enjoy that more. A lot of people would enjoy Discord more than this.
I guess it's much superior than Zoom.
Yeah, and the fact that, you know, it's all in the one system for text and you get reactions. And anyway, so the mind maps are now due at the same time and date for everyone. So make sure you look at the newest version of the assignment spec, which has these nice highlighted yellow parts that show you where the differences are. So make sure you take a look at that. On my throat. And yeah, your presentation is now a recorded video due at the same time. Chelsea made the announcement yesterday. Marcel, there it is in big letters. I think it's 9 a.m. But yeah, it's 9 a.m.
I think so.
Okay,
Like,
I could just look at the title sheet. But,
yeah.
there you go, 6th of April, 9 a.m. The video part, Chelsea made that announcement just the other day that you can have more than one slide, but the 2-minute part is really quite strict. You need to make sure that whatever slides you show in your video, that we can see what's on those slides. And it means that you don't actually have to have a video of yourself presenting. It can just be your voice. Yeah, 8:30 a.m. to be safe. Like 8:30 a.m. the day before to be NBN safe.
Yeah, definitely.
And so in a couple of days, there'll be 2 links on Blackboard for submissions. One of them is for your mind map and reference sheet, and the other one is for your presentation URL, if you want to share it that way. You've got the option of submitting your presentation URL, linking to your presentation video inside your mind map as well. The reason why we have 2 links is because we assume that some people will not put the link inside their mind map. For safety, submit it to both, because why not? That's the main thing. Cool. That's about it.
Yeah.
Any other?
I think this is part where we ask, do we have any more questions? Anybody, any questions?
And if there are big
Confusion?
questions, you'll have to put them on Slack, because we'll probably have to get to them later. Yeah, Sebastian, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell. Enable notifications. You know.
You know what to do.
Subscribe for tier 2 emoticons. Yeah. All right. We should go then.
Yeah, I
Good
think
work,
so.
everyone. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe to Marcel's stream. Yeah. All right. I think, yeah, all right. In a moment, I'm going to click end meeting, and it's going to end the meeting for everyone. So, yeah, have a good day. Stay safe. Ask some
See you guys
questions.
next time.
Like and subscribe. See you
Like
later.
and subscribe.